to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Have you noticed how the government pretends this country works? That they own it like a landlord or are just kind enough to let us live in it as long as they get to set the rules and extract from us payment. That's actually not how this works. That's exactly backward. We own the property we own, and the government is here to serve us by ensuring that our God given rights and certain common goods are secured, and by rules ascended to by the vote of the people. But the rise of a self proclaimed expert class of bureaucrats is trying to flip that understanding on its head, a phenomenon we see in the ever growing and expanding and rapacious administrative state full of useless agencies like the ATF. I thought of all this while watching this newly released and purposefully blurry video of a door to door ATF confiscation attempt happening in real time. Take a look.
Hey, with the ATF,
Okay.
I'm hearing about a solvent trap that you ordered.
Okay.
Do you still have it?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, we're actually here to recover them because they're being used as suppressors.
Do you have a warrant?
I don't have a warrant. If you let me finish, I can talk to you. Okay?
Yep.
They're being used as suppressors. Now, we're just here to pick them up. If you don't have it, you can sign that you don't have it anymore.
I'm not going to sign anything.
Okay, don't sign anything. So what will happen is if you're caught with it, we'll prosecute you federally for an NFA item. Okay.
Sure.
You're obviously going to be on the radar now. I appreciate all the cooperation. We just came to pick it up.
Well, your entire job is to take away people's guns.
I don't think you have any idea what our job is.
I know
actually.
everything about your job.
Oh,
all it
please
is
tell
to
me.
erode the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Shall not be infringed.
So violent criminals with guns that we take off the street.
Like at Waco, like at Ruby Ridge.
Oh my gosh.
My
Bro,
dogs.
You need to quit.
And keep my dogs
You
in
need
the
to
house.
quit reading so
Give
many
me a
books.
break.
You're watching too many
books.
shows and
Yeah,
reading too
that's
many books.
Yeah.
Joining me now to discuss is the man behind that video, Nick Vitello, a Florida resident, lifetime gun enthusiast. Thanks for being here tonight, Nick.
Thanks so much for having me on, Karen.
Great. So first, let me just say hats off to you. You kept calm. You knew your rights. Is that the first time you've had the ATF at your door?
Absolutely. It's the first time I've ever had law enforcement at my door in this house ever. And, while I might have came off as calm and relaxed, it was a very scary situation having federal agents at your door. It might not sound like it, but it was difficult to speak at the time. It was very intense, to say the least.
I completely understand where you're coming from on this. So, of course, I'll be careful in speaking about this because we know how federal agents are. They don't need any impetus to try and make someone's life hell, no matter how innocent the person may be. So they're talking about a gun solvent trap here, and they're talking about suppressors. What is the specific item, at least, that they're talking about or describing?
Well, what they were inquiring about is, like you said, a device called a solvent trap, which one end is threaded. It can go onto the barrel of a rifle, and you can collect, filter, and reuse solvent for your weapon. Everybody in the field knows good solvent can be expensive, and having to be able to reuse it definitely comes in handy. Now, why the ATF is involved at all with solvent traps is it is common, or at least you're able to file a Form 1 with the ATF and take a solvent trap and convert it into a silencer, following the correct paperwork and receiving the correct tax stamp. So that is why the ATF is involved. At the time of the alleged solvent trap purchase, this was completely legal, and people were doing this without any kind of problems, really, as long as they were following the right steps. But due to Chevron deference, the ability of the ATF to reinterpret laws, change definitions, and just completely redefine their regulations, it's now looking like doing this is illegal.
And that's what I think really bothers me about the ATF. As you said, people, they can do this, they can fill out paperwork, they can pay their fee, their fine. And next thing you know, in the blink of an eye, the ATF can say, just kidding, that's illegal. And then they can show up at people's doorsteps. So that's a very big issue. When you're talking to the ATF and you're going back and forth with them, they seem quite affronted. They said, you don't know who we are. We fight criminals. And I think, sure you do. Have you seen the state of our cities right now? You got gangbangers with a million felonies on their rap sheet, and they're sitting there with their guns, and what gets dropped a lot is their weapons charges get dropped. A lot of them get in and out of prison, no big deal, and yet they go after law-abiding gun owners who they say, pay your fines, do this. Next second, that's illegal, and we're showing up at doorsteps now. Does it just bother you how the ATF is allowed to to run this nation with impunity and to act like when they show up on people's doorsteps unannounced without a warrant, they get to act like they own the place.
Exactly. It's completely absurd. From my point of view as a constitutionalist, bureaucracies like this should not be able to set laws. All of these laws should have to go through Congress to be approved. And they won't, because most of them do, in fact, violate the Second Amendment. And like you said, I'd like anybody to take a look at former agent Brandon, I believe his name is Brandon Garcia from Colorado Springs, in his 6-page resignation letter from the ATF. What you'll read is, they're not doing what you signed up to do. They're not going out there. They're not fighting criminals. The vast majority of who they're targeting are middle-class Americans in relatively quiet neighborhoods such as mine. And yeah, it's not what you signed up for.
No, it is not. And that's the other thing is it seems like we're very dangerously close, if not already having crossed the boundary there of there being a gun registry or multiple gun registries. At this point, it seems like, the idea that that being illegal is more just something that's on paper, because in practice, it seems with all these videos popping up of just people going about their business, being law-abiding citizens and getting the ATF on their door, knowing everything about them with no crimes having been alleged. That's a big problem, at least for me. So last 30 seconds here, if there's any last, message that you perhaps want to say to other people about, knowing their rights and knowing how to, like I said, to know their rights and to defend those rights.
Absolutely. Well, to start, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank John Crump and the GOA for bringing awareness and for allowing people, to see what's going on, because I was the last person to expect the ATF to be showing up at my door. I checked all the boxes and I followed the laws, and there they were. Please get involved. Again, support the GOA, support the FBC, support the NRA. And yeah, be aware of your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Don't sign anything, and have them come back with the warrant.
And again, I think that's the biggest thing here is that the ATF, they're not going after hardened criminals who are doing horrible things or crimes are being done and they're just tracking down and investigating. No, they're taking regular people, law-abiding people, as I keep stressing, and they're trying to use little paper, paper filing tricks to magically make law-abiding gun owners magically make them into something that they're not, and then using that to take their rights away from them. So, Nick, thank you for joining us tonight. Like you said, John Crump, he's great, writes at Ammo Land. That's where he wrote up this article as well about what happened to you. Thanks for joining us tonight.